the notion of Indo-Pacific is relatively new. So we used to be using mainly Asia-Pacific. But given the increasing connectivity between the Asia-Pacific region and Indian Ocean region, now we need to think about more broadly. And that is based on the fact that the Asia-Pacific peace and security is more and more affected by what takes place in the Indo-Indian Ocean region. And Indian Ocean region is also being affected by what takes place in the Asia-Pacific region. So that is why it's a strategic imperative, I guess, for us to think more broadly about the region. This is in one sense, of course, the Indo-Pacific is a geographical concept, but at the same time, it's very much based on the evolution of policy, context, and reality. So that's why now we more use the term the Indo-Pacific. First and foremost, the Indo-Pacific concept is a mainly a maritime thing, because if you look at the map, the Indo-Pacific region, yes, of course, the Eurasian continent is there, India is there, but as the name suggests, the Indo-Pacific concept, very much a maritime-based one. So the maritime security is obviously one of the most important areas for Japan to look at, and particularly the maintaining the fundamental principles regarding the maritime governance, like freedom of navigation. That is very important in terms of protecting sea lines of communication, which is vital for our economic transaction, trade, and they also, for security reasons as well, maintaining the freedom of navigation is critical, and in the South China Sea and in East China Sea as well. So how to counter challenges to the very principles of freedom of navigation and other related international law and norms, that's what we are very much focusing on. The Japanese government now is proposing and pursuing the initiative vision of a free and open Indo-Pacific, FOIP. It has three pillars, so the fundamental principles and pursuing prosperity and security and peace and security. And it's a comprehensive vision. It has certain element of countering challenges, whoever it is, perhaps China. It has an element of countering China, but it's not just that, it's more than that. Because the competitive strategy element of FOIP is there, but at the same time, cooperative strategy element is there as well. So because the Indo-Pacific concept is inherently an open, inclusive idea. And also, Japan and China are now committed to pursue what we call cooperation in third countries. So the infrastructure projects in various countries in the Indo-Pacific region is something that we are now thinking about. Of course, we still don't know what we can really do in that context, but there is a political momentum and a political determination, commitment to that. So this cooperative element is there. So I don't think it's fair to say that Japan's free and open Indo-Pacific concept is only about countering China. No, we are still very much thinking about various opportunities, including Chinese-Japanese cooperation in this wider area as well. So security, economy, and other things are all involved. So it's a really comprehensive thing. India is a really important strategic partner for Japan. And not only Prime Minister Abe, but successive prime ministers over the past more than 10 years have been trying to strengthen the partnership with India. There have been already some good outcomes, like the joint military exercises between the self-defense forces of Japan and Indian forces, and not only in the maritime domain, but also the ground force joint training also took place some months ago in India. So that sort of new development we can see. What is now more needed is that given the fact that the Japanese-Indian strategic partnership has so far been a politically driven process, which is good, but now for us to make this relationship more sustainable, more substantial, and for us to see this relationship to flourish, then we need a more economic substance. So the more economic engagement, economic transactions between Japan and India, not just trade, but also investment, and how we can start this more spontaneous, the business community driven, sustainable process, how and whether we can start that. I think that's a remaining challenge. But I'm not too pessimistic, because India is a rising power, and not just in terms of economy, but also in foreign security policy terms. India is changing, but we should not have too much expectations, because of course the notion of using India as a counterweight to China is not good in the eyes of Indians, of course. Still, we need to pay attention to India's tradition of non-alignment, for example, and then explore what we can do together with Indians. And that's going to be a long process. The rules-based international order, or liberal international order, is under increasing threat, mainly from China and Russia, not from the United States. Because some people tend to argue that Mr. Trump is now destroying international order. Yes, there is some element of that. We cannot deny that. But still, in terms of thinking of maintaining rules-based international order, then still we need to make a clear distinction between challengers and partners, supporters of those order. And still, even under Mr. Trump, the United States is still very much should be a partner for us, for Japanese, for Europeans. My point is that it's too early to give up seeking cooperation with the United States. So what we need to do is to encourage Americans to come back to the central stage of international leadership, and it's still possible. I might be too naive or optimistic, but given the fact that we still share a lot more with Americans, values, interest, more with Americans we share than with Chinese or Russians. That's still the reality. And for Europeans as well, it's still the reality. So that means that we should not give up the United States. But still, in the meantime, while Americans are a bit absent from the central stage of international leadership, then there are more things that Japanese and Europeans should do together. But it's not about ganging up against the United States. It is about encouraging Americans to come back to the central stage of international leadership.